Welcome, welcome. Jamie Hernandez here, founder of Breakthrough Yoga Coaching Method, helping you bridge the gap between your spiritual practice and your business so that you can grow emotionally and financially. And today is an embodiment practice. So sometimes the training is more of a workshop style. We take notes and we have some points that we're working on. But today is titled Future Making is Now. So it's the idea of understanding if we're going to create a future that we can't see physically here in this present moment, we need to practice the art of being here now, right? And so we all understand this in concept. But what we want to do is we actually want to practice it. So this is how we can bridge. This is one way. The body is the first way to bridge the gap between your spiritual practice and your business. Because guess what? We use the body to implement. And the body is that vessel where we can start to get that clear vision. So when we start to get grounded in the body, then what starts to happen is our nervous system starts to settle down and starts to regulate. And when our nervous system starts to regulate, then our mind can start to focus. And when our mind can start to focus, it starts to clear. And then when it starts to clear, it switches from that problem-solving linear part of your brain into a creative space. And I'm not saying that one is better than the other, but in order for us to see the vision of our life, which is in our imagination, which is in creation, which is in the ether, this is in divinity, we need to have our physical body, our nervous system, and our mind as a clear channel. And we need to have it here on earth, because if we're only in the etheric realms, it stays kind of up there as like this dream and this vision, which is beautiful, but it kind of stays like a dream. So we want to see that dream, and especially if you see the dream over and over again, and especially if you're listening and you have a practice of meditation, you're going to continue to see it. And that's kind of when you know it is a soul's calling. That's when you know it's something that, okay, it's not just some nice thought. It's this seeing, and sometimes seeing is more of a knowing. It's more of a feeling. Everybody envisions their life differently. It can be a feeling. It can be literally a physical, picture, seeing yourself. It's like, again, the way we dream. And it could just be this knowing, you've always known that, right? So fill in that blank. I've always known that I'm here to do. And even if that thing it is not in the conventional, realm of what we think is viable to make a living or to, it's like the founder of Cirque du Soleil, his vision, right? And anybody who knows Cirque du Soleil today, he had a vision which was not necessarily practical. So here's the thing about visions. It is not necessarily practical, but it is giving you an idea of your destiny. And the more you can get a sense of yourself through your highest stream of consciousness, through your own envisioning, then you can start to take action, and take action now. So those are the two things. It's the ability to see the future, which in reality, everything is always happening at once. So it's really just a potential reality that is there already for us to manifest. Okay, otherwise we wouldn't see it. And here's what happens when we live here in the 3D realm and we make money and we have to feed our kids and we have to pay our mortgage and all these things, is that we need to bring it down here on the 3D, and that requires action. So that's why today I want to give you an embodiment practice so that you can begin to take action, because so much of this business strategy, marketing, sales, making money is conceptual. And at the same time, those concepts will never be implemented in your actual real day life if you don't move yourself literally into action. And for highly sensitive business owners, I would say this is key. Most of our clients that work with us are really good at what they do. They're good at the healing, they're good at the coaching, but they get a sense of overwhelm when they start to understand what they need to do for marketing, what they need to do to make money, what they need to do strategically, right, for their next profitable action. Because all of what happens with highly sensitive people is that we, highly sensitive business owners, we feel everything first before we strategize and think. So if that is our asset, because that is our asset, right? That's why we're such great coaches. If that is our asset, then we may as well utilize that tool, which is the body, to implement our next business action. So you pair your spiritual practice and your business, right? Your business action taking plan strategy right beside each other. So what we tend to do is we kind of go off on these retreats, or we touch the moon, we start to get in touch with our soul or our ancestors or our guides, we expand the body, we go into these crazy energy like fields, and when we see these like magical realms, and then when we come back to our everyday mundane and we feel disconnected when we actually have to do something linear, when we have to do something that is related to our survival and yet to our soul at the same time. Because when you are a coach or a healer, it's both. You're not just in survival and you're not just in your soul, you're kind of combining both. So guess what? We need to pair our soul survival, our soul's expression, and our survival needs very close together so they can collaborate. Yeah? And so it's so easy in some way. The answer is so easy. We can start to utilize our biggest asset, which is the body. So that's what we're going to do. So I want you to, wherever you are, just come into, if you can, sitting or standing, a place where you can feel the ground. Because that's the thing, when we start to kind of move forward in our business, our energy gets pulled everywhere. And the first thing we need to do is just land on our 2 feet or land on our butt, okay? So feel that now, okay? Press into the ground with your feet, into your sitting bones. Breathe in, breathe down. So you're starting to bring the energy down the center into the ground. And you continue, breathe in. So you're drawing in energy. And you're moving it down. Continue here, breathe in. And arrive. Okay, so that's the thing. Like when we're running a business, there's thousands of decisions to be made. There's a future making in this process. There's these big audacious dreams. But we can't create or implement if we're over there, you know? Like, yes, we see it. It's kind of like knowing where we're going, but understanding that I have to step down on the ground to get there. I'm not like, you know, always having my kind of mind over there while my body is here. So you kind of want to bring your mind back to center. You see where you're going, just like if I see a tree outside of my window. Okay, I want to walk to that tree. I'm not going to like, I just have to take one step at a time. And I know I'm going to get to the tree, right? And that's the same with your vision. So the first thing is to really recognize, okay, that you're here, you have a body, you're alive, and you know, just to come into that, you know, we've all moved into that bliss state. We all know that, right? And so we can start to step into that frequency now of just understanding I'm alive. Like I have a body. I have like trillions of cells that are literally creating this body now in order for me to just be here and do what I love and talk on this camera and not have to even go anywhere and be in my comfort of my own home and share with you. So there is so much abundance and grace in this moment. And so as we just recognize that, we kind of already know we're good, we're okay, right? So the next step, right, is to understand, and I want you to close your eyes and take a moment, breathe in, breathe down, and just ask yourself, what was the last thought that you had about your business and your life? And if you're not sure, just think about it. What do I believe? What do I think about my business and my life? First impression, what's there? And if nothing comes to mind, what is the feeling? Okay? Be conscious of how you are thinking, how you're feeling, how you're energetically resonating when you think about your life and your business. This is important. Okay? All of these things. If we know where we're going and it's just an intellectual idea, but we don't know how we're actually holding that idea in our minds, in our physical body, in our emotion, in our energetic frequency, we are going to manifest from a reality that is based on what's currently happening. So if you're in a place where you're not necessarily in the life of your dreams, then it's that natural unconscious thing that we do where we realize, okay, I got to this point and that's kept me alive. So I'm going to keep on making decisions based on my current reality. But whenever you do that, you keep on creating and recreating the same current reality. Does that make sense? So then you want to continue to start to see that vision, right? But before that, we have to kind of see how we're manifesting just in general. Because if you knew how to manifest it already, then it already would be happening. Yes? Okay. Now, if something's happening, the thing that you want to also ask yourself is, what is one action you're taking every day that you are intentionally taking to create the life and business that you love? So what is that action? What is the one, not the, like, oh, I'm doing all of these things, because sometimes all this busy work feels like we're doing something, but really we're just kind of throwing our energy in all of these different places. And, the North Star is there, and we're like going there, and then we're going there, and then we're going here, and then we have to build the website, and then after maybe I'm going to get more credentials, and then maybe I'm going to take the certification, and then maybe I'm going to work here, and it's just like we're kind of doing all of this busy work, right? Without kind of taking the next most profitable and energetic action towards our next thing, right? So we don't necessarily always want to do this to get to that. Sometimes we want to just get to that. Yeah. So what is one action you're taking every day that you are intentionally taking to create your life and business that you love? What is that one action? And it's important to know what that one action is. And it's also important to understand, is this one action the lever that is going to make all other actions go away, or become easier? Yes? Okay. So for most of my clients, the very first action we need to do is really start to get into the body and get that clarity, and then start to work with all of these subconscious thoughts that I'm talking to you about, like what was the last thought about your business, and work with that before we start implementing. Because guess what? Those subconscious thoughts, I was just on a call with a client the other day, and we're starting to figure out his dreamiest clients. And there was this part of him that was constantly, yeah, but like, there was constantly like a yeah, but. And that's when you know your clarity is being interfered with a part of your egoic structure, a part of your survival that is trying to lead the show. And when you're trying to create a business and life you love, yes, your survival needs need to be met, but they're not the ones in charge. Does that make sense? So because if you were just to only do what you would do to survive, then you basically are recreating your current reality. Right? Does that make sense? And if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But if there is, again, something compelling you, something that you're seeing, right? It's important to know what is the action, right? What are the actions that I'm taking one action every day to move towards that? And then, again, there's that subconscious. So there's many layers to what I'm trying to teach you today, but hopefully it's going to give you some insight, especially if you feel stuck. Okay? So these are questions, and you might want to come back to this training just to kind of start to get clarity, because this is what this practice is to gain clarity, right? Gain clarity through these questions, through the body, right? And the other question you want to start to ask yourself is, what are my top 5 goals? Because when you're creating a business and life you love, sometimes we have all of these things on our agenda, but they don't actually match, what we love and what we really want. Yes. So, for example, if you want a business that creates freedom and time to spend more time with your kids and your partner, but you're only, for example, doing all of this busy work, and when your kids come home, you're sort of not able to be present with them, right? And we all know that. We all know our kind of, we've all done that before. Then you kind of know, okay, my actions and my implementation is not in alignment with my values or my goals. So what are your top 5 goals so that your action taking is going to match those 5 goals? So there are 2 things that we're starting to understand here. We need that clear vision through the body, through the clear mind, through that visioning. And we need the action that matches that clarity. Okay? In a nutshell, this is what this concept that I'm teaching you is about. And now we're going to do it in the body so that you can start to gain that clarity. Because you might be answering these questions, but if you're stressed or you're still in that survival mode, it's going to answer through a place that is a lens of, again, based on your current reality, not on what you're creating in the future, if that makes sense. So let me know if that makes sense in the comment. Yeah? Okay. So last question, okay? Last question I want to ask you is just to take a moment, close your eyes, and just look, take a 360 and just look around in your life. Look at your relationships. Look at your bank account. Look at your working environment or what you're doing, right? Who you're working with, what clients you're working with. Look at your health, your physical body. Just take a 360 and just look. Look at your relationships with people that are important in your life. Okay, so just do it one by one. Relationships. Think of maybe one of the most important or 2 of the most important relationships you are in. Bank account. That's great because that's a very binary. You can see the numbers. Hopefully you're looking at them. Right? Your physical body. Right? See it not just externally, but feel the vitality. What is the level of vitality you're feeling in this moment? Okay, and that will kind of give you a gauge of where we are in our health. And what we're doing, what we're doing here on earth, our purpose, our mission, right? Just look at all of those. And what will first happen, especially if well, this is what will first happen. We're going to look at the one that we're failing at. Okay, so if you're having a shitty bank account or a shitty relationship or whatever, you're like, not doing so hot, parenting or whatever, you're going to see that. Because there's no such human being that I've ever worked with where they've had all of these 5 areas of their life, their bank account, their health, their love relationships, their parenting relationships, their big audacious goals all in check. Okay, it just doesn't exist. Okay, I think that's kind of what happens here on Earth. We're here to kind of learn one lesson. Maybe it's more in the direction of love. Maybe it's more in the direction of health. Maybe it's more in the direction of the 3D, money kind of deal, right? Something. So let me know in the comments which one it is for you, right? And so I've been talking this whole time. I hope my sound is working. So what we want to see is we want to start to see it, because always our current reality is going to expose what we don't want. And what's really important is now to step into what we want, because it's good to see, but it's also understanding we can't create from a place of what we don't want. What we don't want is different from what we do want. But we unconsciously create from what we don't want, right? So that's a funny thing that starts to happen, right? We look around and we're like, I don't have enough money. And then we say that mantra in our head. We have that kind of nervous system that feels like in lack. We have a mind that is not actually having creative imagination to how we can create new streams of income, and we're not taking action based on those potentials. Do you see what I mean? Okay. So what we don't want and what we do want are 2 different things. And stepping into what we do want is the unknown. And that's why it gets always scary for that problem solving part of our brain, for that egoic structure, for that survival mode to actually take action in what we do want, because it's new, right? To be able to create a future reality, we have to take actions, and especially actions that we've never really taken before. And we have to keep on taking those actions. And here's the big thing: be willing to fail many times, or have many, I wouldn't even say that fail, but have many attempts before that mastery occurs. And that's the thing, you know that about your spiritual practice, but so many of us, for example, we do a couple of things in our business and then it quote unquote fails, and we think we're failures. But the only, my coach said this the other day, the only failure is if you quit on yourself. That's the only possibility of failure. But failed attempts is okay, like anything, right? You try, I don't know, in a yoga posture, you try a certain way and the alignment is slightly off, and you're constantly taking these attempts, right? Or you meditate, or you do energy work, and you're constantly making many attempts until you start to master your craft. And it's the same in business. And that's why I love using the body, because it's the same thing. Okay, so now that we've worked with the mind, okay, here's the thing. So we've kind of strategized a little bit, and we kind of created the container of our mindset, created how we kind of need to think, where we need to go, where do we need to put our mind's direction. And now we're going to take that and put it in the body, because here's the thing that starts to happen. Us feelers, we start to think, and then our body gets overwhelmed by thought, and then it kind of shuts down. And then it doesn't go into action. So we want to take that viable energy, even if it's overwhelmed, right? And put it back into the body. Okay? So here's the thing. Let's stand up. Okay? And this is the crazy thing. Okay? Some of you will be watching this and still want to think and not stand up. Okay, so here is the bridge. Taking a step, just taking one step, like standing, is taking one more action step towards creating the life you want. Okay? So make a choice now to stand. Because if you've been sitting, and you're trying to create your life from that desk in front of your, scrolling on your screen, it's never going to work, right? So we kind of have to pattern interrupt and understand, oh, okay, I can strategize my business by also doing this in my physical body. How amazing, how great. So we kind of want to change our mindset, and we want to take the ability to take action, right? And that's the thing. Entrepreneurs who are successful are willing to take action. And so what I want you to do is start to just walk in place, and you're starting to take those physical steps. And I'm just going on here because I want to make sure that actually my sound has been working this whole time that I've been talking. Imagine. Let's see. Yay! There you go. And so, there you go. So now, okay, as you're stepping, start to feel your feet on the ground. Okay? As you're stepping, start to feel your feet on the ground. Breathe in. Breathe out. And all of a sudden, it's like you're starting to get yourself in action mode. Right? You're starting to literally take your body with you as you start to create your life. Okay? And what you're starting to do is you're starting to bring the energy down. So when we start to business strategize and we start to envision, and when we start to do mindset work, all the energy is up here in the prefrontal cortex. So just bring it down. And then just start to take a moment to soften the knees and soften the pelvis and just start to shake. Breathing in, breathing down. Relax your jaw. Relax around your eyes. Breathe in. Breathe down. Breathe in. Imagine you're taking the energy in. And breathe down. So here's where we have to start to switch out of the feeling, out of the thinking, into the feeling. And you, as a sensitive business owner, are good at this. So start to shift into feeling. So whenever you're feeling overwhelmed in your business, go to the body. It's the easiest way. Okay? But you don't escape in the body where you're just kind of doing all this stuff, and then you go off and you kind of just start to put your energy some random place, like scrolling on your screen or playing some game on your phone, like, or, watching Netflix. It's not the time to numb out. It's a time to, okay, we're going to transmute the overwhelm. So we're doing that. Okay, we're going to step the feet wide, and we're just going to twist from the base of the spine. And you all might have your own way, right, of getting into the body. So I'm just giving you some real basic stuff because here we are, and I'm inviting you here. And, I want to be able, like, if you're seeing this and watching this, that you can just kind of stop and do it, Like, we're not going to make it too crazy. But you might have your way of moving, right? And if you have that way, then do it. Right? Some people are into dance. Some people are into, weight training. Some people are into their power yoga series A and B and all that business, right? If that's how you want to do it, then great. But what I'm trying to tell you is get into your body. Get on the floor. Come here and arrive. Yeah? You know how to do that, so do it. Breathe in. Breathe out. Relax your jaw. Relax around your eyes. And I'm kind of tapping my arms against my body. And again, that's another way of grounding into the body. Relax your jaw, relax around your eyes, relax your shoulders. And this repetition just starts to help you get a little bit more. It starts to kind of put your mind at ease. But, just keep it simple. Keep it simple. You're not performing. You're just coming onto the ground and you're feeling. Okay, you're twisting from the base of the spine, the middle back, the neck. Good. And you're going to come back into the center. Okay. And then you're going to continue to step. Move your hips, shoulders. And again, we're going to go shaking. Okay. So we're going to breathe our arms up and around. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Breathe your arms up and around. Palms together, point your fingers down. And continue here. Breathe in. Breathe out. I'm conscious of my armpits. That's so funny. Breathe your arms up and around. Okay. Point your fingers down. Inhale, arms up and around. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms up and around. Okay, palms together, point your fingers down. Breathe in, arms up and around. Exhale, shift back. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Breathe in, arms up and around. Palms down. Okay, so shift into feeling. Feel your feet. Inhale, push into the ground, lift. Exhale, feel your legs. Inhale, feel your arms. Feel your hands touch. Bring them down. Inhale, arms up and around. Exhale, shift back. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms up and around. Palms together, point your fingers down. Inhale, arms up and around. Exhale, forward. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms up and around. Exhale and release down. Okay? So for many of us, right, we are able to get into the body, right? Okay. And for many of us who work in the body, right, depending on how much you've been practicing, it doesn't take you long. Okay, so the very first thing we do is we start to feel the feet on the floor. We start to give ourselves the opportunity to move. Okay, just to kind of unravel, shake off the excess tension. And then we start to allow ourselves to do whatever we do. You know, sometimes some of us are boxers, some of us are weightlifters, some of us are like, you know, we do something. Some of us are dancers, and we can do something in a rhythmical, continuous pattern. And then what it starts to do is it starts to sync your mind and your body. And that's what you want, right? You need your body, you need your mind to function. Okay? Inhale. Exhale. Okay, breathe your arms up and around, palms together, point your fingers down. Inhale, arms up and around. Exhale, shift back. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms up and around. Exhale and release. And so what I'm teaching you is not new. It's understanding in this moment. If you're going to take a next action, we need to start moving into the body. Okay? So hopefully now your left and your right brain are starting to work a little bit more together. Okay? Breathing in, breathing out. Now, obviously, when you work with me as my client, we go much deeper than that, but I just want to give you the steps to gain clarity. So now, as you kind of move your body, and maybe you need to move it longer, okay, here's the thing, you know what to do that gets you in that state of readiness. Right? Write me in the comments, what is that for you? What is that place and that thing you do, right, that gets you in that state of readiness? Is it jumping on your bike? Is it going into the forest? Is it jumping in water? Is it, doing burpees? Like, what is it? And then all of a sudden, the rhythms of your breath, the rhythms of your body get you into a place where you're just a little bit more regulated. So now, step into this now moment. Feel your feet on the floor. Press your sitting bones on the ground. Breathe in. Breathe down. And ask yourself, when you project yourself into the future, when you move from that highest state of consciousness, where you take a moment to clear your mind. So I want you to imagine that you're clearing your mind like a big white space. Clear, 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 clear. Big white space. Endless big white space. It could be a big sky. And then anchor yourself here on the earth. You can imagine yourself as a tree, root down, a rock, whatever it feels good for you, or you just standing here, feeling here. And if you were just to open up your mind and let the vision of who you are and why you're here in, what do you see and what have you always known? Okay, and usually it comes in a flash, and this is why we have to be in a state of regulated nervous system, in a state of feeling grounded, because if our nervous system is too agitated, we won't hear the immediate answer, because it is an immediate answer. It is something that you've always known to be true about yourself and your life and your purpose here on earth. So what is that? Write me in the comments if you have the courage. Write me in the comments or DM me. Okay, because here's the thing. Now that we have the vision, here's where most of us kind of never make it happen in the 3D. We do not take action. So the next thing that we want to do now that we have the clarity is, what is the next obvious action that I can do today to take an action step towards that vision? And what most of us will do is we'll think of something really complicated. Oh, okay, I think I need to take another 3-year certification. Oh, I gotta redo my website. Oh, I gotta go on social media like 1,000,000 times a day. Okay? So, right? When you start to see and you envision yourself, I'll give you a hint, okay? When you start to see yourself, okay, because we are healers, because we are coaches, and you start to see what you're here to do on earth, who is that with? Right? So we start to tune into our dreamiest clients. who are we working with? Yeah? So we want to start to get really clear on who that is. And I want you, okay, so this is where most of us, again, we think we have to talk to like 1 million people or have this crazy like social media presence. But if you're a coach and you're a healer, you've been working with people, okay, your whole life. And so you want to start to think, who is just one person in my sphere, in my network, that I really loved working with, or I'm loving working with, or love to work with, right? And in most cases, it's true for you had a past client, you have a current client, and you have a future client that you want to work with. Okay, guys, this is one of those business strategies that kind of wipes away all the other noise, because okay, let's make the website, or let's get the credential, or let's do this before getting to the client, right? And I want you to really allow yourself to see in your current reality who you love working with, in your past who you love working with, and in your future who you want to work with. Because guess what? That dreamiest client is going to continue to evolve. So maybe there are certain people in your past that you really loved working with, but you change, so that person is that like dreamiest client, and their values are going to slightly be different in where they are in their life. Does that make sense? So that is your homework. I want you to think about in your circle, okay? I don't care if it's you have 5 people in your circle, if you have 5 clients, okay? If you have 3 clients, right? Think about who you loved working with, or if you don't love them completely, what did you love? What did you love about working with them? Who do you currently work with that you absolutely love? And if they are a version, but they're not completely that version where you're like, oh, I love the fact that they're like, super athletic, and I love the fact that they're super independent, but they're always late or something like that. Then in your potential client, start to think about those same qualities and continue to affirm what it is you want in your future potential clients. Does that make sense? Okay? So this step, right, is something that, wipe away all the noise, okay? And see the current clients that you have, the past clients that you have, because that's where you're going to understand that your business is based on the relationships that you are creating. And when you start to understand your clients at a deep level, and here's where the observation is. Sometimes we're not even observing what we love. We're not observing what we want. We're not observing what we love about it. We're not observing how we want to tweak the way we work with people, and maybe tweak who we're actually working with. Yeah? But when we understand here, because one of my core values is business is human. And when we can build deep human relationships, you can build a long-lasting business. And sometimes we think we have to create a business and have all of these kind of things in place. But if you're a healer and if you're a coach, the thing that you have to have in place are the relationships that you build with your clients and with people around you. Because in essence, that is your brand. The relationships and the way you put yourself out there. And by putting yourself out there, you're simply putting out, and this is another aspect of what we do when you work with me, is understanding marketing is simply expressing your factual experience and your own intellectual property, your own processes. You are a healer. You have processes that you've synergized from all of your different masters and lineages, right, to create an outcome. Okay, so you're simply speaking of those things. You're not trying to make things up. You're not trying to position yourself as something you're not. Okay, and that's actually when people work with you, it's actually your longevity. You kind of need to show up authentically, because you can't keep on pretending to be something you're not, right? Because it's going to catch up with you, right? So if you start positioning yourself like, if I start positioning myself as a power yoga instructor, that's going to screw me, right? In the long term, right? Because that's not my thing. You see? So, and not everybody's going to like the deeper, meditative, energetic, conscious work that is related to business. It's, but it's something that is my brand and it's my longevity. So, and it starts with what's already there, guys. Okay, life is always giving you, right? You wouldn't be working with the people you're working with if that wasn't part of your purpose. Even if it's working with people that you don't like, it helps you to realize, okay, that's what I don't want, but what do I want, and what do I like? Yeah. So this practice is really more of a overview, an outline, right? To help you gain just a little bit of clarity, right? But if you were to work with me, we do much deeper work in the physical somatic body. We'd go a little bit longer. We'd go into the energetics. And one of the very first things we would do is start to look at all the subconscious beliefs that were imprinted in your body, imprinted in your mind, imprinted in energy, right? That even when you do start to understand who your dreamiest clients are, and how you are going to speak to them, and how we're going to create a program specifically for them, and how we're going to raise our prices, we have to work with those kind of unconscious parts of us that will constantly try to keep us in survival mode and choose the same current reality choices versus having that fear, but collaborating with it so you can both move forward, both parts move forward towards where you want to go. Okay, so if that speaks to you, then DM me, let me know, Jamie, I want a breakthrough yoga coaching call. I did some kind of link thing here, I'm not sure, but it also put my Calendly link, but I could also just manually put it in the comments for you, and then you can book a call. Let me know, Jamie, I'm ready for a breakthrough yoga coaching call. I'm going to send you an application, and on that application, I'm going to read, like, where is it? So your egoic mind is always going to have a way of protecting you. So there's going to be something that you might not see, because if you've been seeing through that egoic structure, obviously sometimes you're not aware of it, or you haven't been looking at it. So I'm going to look at that, and then on the call, we're going to start to look at what's keeping you stuck, right? If you're not in the current reality, and listen, we're never going to be fully arrived, but we kind of want to at least be on the path toward there, because sometimes we're on a completely different path and we're not even walking towards the future reality that we see in our visions. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay, so it's not about finally arriving, but it's knowing the course and taking making course corrections to go in that direction, because that's the only way that your soul is going to feel like whole and full. Does that make sense? Right? And every time you kind of pick the safe path, it's going to feel safe, it's going to feel comfortable, but there's part of you that always is yearning for that wholeness, yearning for remembering why you're here, yearning to remember why you're actually alive. Yes? So what we're going to do is we're going to look at how that thing that is keeping you stuck. So if you're not living that now, then there is something that is holding you back, right? From an unconscious perspective, but also from an action taking perspective. Because sometimes people think they're building their business and they're like way off into some place where it's not the next most obvious and profitable action energetically and financially. Okay, so that's the other thing. If you were to work with me, it's a high touch premium program that helps you clear the spiritual house and then take the most obvious next profitable action in your business and guide you. Because here's the thing, what's going to happen as you move towards what you want, the resistance and the wall that is there is going to be like on hyper vigilant mode. And that's a funny thing. That's what always happens, right? With the clients I work with at the beginning, like their resistance, their egoic structure, is so like in protection mode. And we have to learn how to work with that part of us, to tell that, let that part know physically, mentally, energetically that it's safe. And we have to let the soul know that you're safe to emerge and talk about your dreams, even if it's these big, audacious goals that nobody can see but you. And so you need a safe and sacred container to hold that space for you. Because if we don't share it in the right container, those two things are core wounds and that egoic structure and that place of our highest stream of consciousness, then they're not going to feel safe and they're not going to take action because they don't feel safe, right? So what we do in the program is we create that safe and sacred container for you so that you can take action, right? And then when you take action based on your clarity, that's how you manifest your future reality. That's it. The formula is simple, but the right container is not always there. The sphere of influence, the direction, the tweak, sometimes, our clients will go down this road of doing all of these things. And it's like, listen, go call your client tomorrow. And then, oh my God, all of this fear starts coming up. And it's like the most simplest strategy, but it's like we have a hard time implementing it. So that's where we're going to work with, whenever the SHIT hits the fan, we're going to work on that. Take the little energy that we've alchemized, transmuted, and just put it into now our kind of a nervous system that is a little bit more regulated to that thing. And it's that constant dance. And that's pretty much a dance forever, because you're always going to be moving into a future reality that is not something that you can see today. And so we kind of have to continue to prepare our nervous system to keep the vision clear and to take action. Yes? So I hope this was helpful for you, and it gives you a sense of the work that we would do if you're in our container, in my container, right? It's a sacred container for both your survival needs and your soul needs. And then we collaborate and we allow those two to work together. We're not trying to banish the ego, and we're not just trying to stay high. We're just working together and working through the roller coaster, which is entrepreneurship, right? And then building, just like we build a house, we're going to build our business and develop that maturity to understand, just like your spiritual practice, we have to practice, and we have to have a schedule, and we have to have a container to do that. And the reality is, none of us can really do all of this on our own. We need a team. We need support, just like anything, right? If you live in, the reason why we have the container of a house is because you need to sleep, you need to eat, you need to, and the reason why for the container of a a spiritual sacred container that holds your soul and your survival to move towards your dream is it. That's what it is. It's a structured container that creates results. That makes sense? Based on your truth, based on the outcomes that you're envisioning. So that truth is always going to come from you. And I think that's the biggest fear of healers and coaches. We're afraid. We're afraid not to present ourselves, and we're not afraid not to present ourselves in complete alignment with who we are. And then when we kind of find out who we are and what we're here to do, it's like our ego is like, what? Oh my God, no. Like, it gets afraid. So there's a way of working with that fear. The fear is always going to be there, but there's a way of developing a relationship with it so that we can work with it, right? Through the body, through the mind, and through energy. So that is it for me today. I hope this practice was helpful for you. Very basic practice was helpful for you to at least start. Just start, Everyone has to start somewhere, right? And if you just take this 1 hour in your life, you may change the trajectory of your whole entire existence, It's kind of like, there's this path and you just kind of like, ooh, based on the one decision you make today, and that's your whole entire life. It's based on decisions that you make in every given moment. So what are you going to decide? Are you going to decide to stand up, move around like Jamie is talking about, find that clarity, take that one action, right? Can literally shift everything. And then imagine doing this in a container where you're constantly making decisions, constantly. There's a tree. I'm stepping down to get to that tree. Yeah? So, my name is Jamie Hernandez, and I wish you a beautiful day. Thank you for being here. Let me know in the comments what your biggest takeaway is, and do the thing, do the practice, because just watching it, is great, but if you're not actually going to implement it, then it's the same thing. It's like listening to business concepts and like, that's great, and then you never really do it. So in the 3D, we kind of need the action. And I'm trying to give you an action that's easy for you guys, right? Being in the body, breathing, meditating is something you can do, right? Because we've been doing it and we've been preparing our whole life for it. Now is the time for us light workers to break up the density here on earth, right? And bring our light. There's no point in just keeping it all in ourselves, right? Because then it starts to implode. That energy, it's like it short fuses. And it results in like all these little boo-boos and weird kind of ailments that we start to have because the energy is moving and we're not flowing it back out. It's moving in, but it's not flowing back out. So I'll be here next week, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I thank you so much. DM me if you want a breakthrough yoga coaching call, and I'll be ready. All right. Bye, guys.